Hi, morning. Welcome back, viewer. Welcome back to my channel, Hocantalk.english. Now, this is the English version of all my finance and business video. I have another channel which is focusing on all the Chinese speaking presentation of the same video. If you would like to listen to Chinese, you can go to Ho Can Talk. So for the English one, is Ho Can Talk full stop English. Now, today the topic is regarding a very wonderful fruit called the soursop. And because my video is focusing more on the business and finance aspect, so I will focus or talk less about the historical, biological, and some of the basic knowledge regarding soursop. But I will focus more on the business aspect, business analysis. Is it profitable to enter into the soursop plantation and all these aspects? But again, in order to make the video complete, I will still produce all the slide to introduce soursop and all the advantages and all the thing that associated with soursop. But again, I won't mention it in too detail. You can just read through the script, which is quite informative. So, as a general introduction, this tree, the soursop tree, is a master of adaptation, but it requires specific condition. Now, it is not from Asia, Southeast Asia, but it is from Latin America. So, I'll give you some brief background. Now, this tree is a true child of the tropical environment, and it can thrive in high humidity and warm winters. It has a strict 25-degree rules, meaning that anything above 25 degrees Celsius, the tree perform very well, and if below, when the temperature drop, the tree will suffer. So, but anyway, this is the soursop tree is an evergreen tree, meaning it remains green throughout the year, and its leaf possesses a distinct, almost medicinal aroma when crushed. So those soft, fleshy spines on the fruits are not meant to harm, but to act as a defense mechanism so that it make the whole fruits look unappetizing to animals until it is fully ripe and falls to the ground, allowing the large seeds of the fruits to disperse. So as mentioned, soursop fruits or the plant, it doesn't come from Southeast Asia. So where did it come from? I mentioned Latin America, but to be more precise, it actually started from South Mexico and the Central America. So the migration of these fruits to the Southeast Asia is because of the global migration began in the 16th and the 17th centuries during the era of European exploration and colonial trade. Now, the seeds of soursop are incredibly resilient. They have thick protective coatings and can remain dormant for long periods. So that's why they were easily transported by sailors and merchants. So the key to its arrival in Southeast Asia, especially Philippines, was the famous Manila galleon trade. So for 250 years, Spanish galleons sails between Acapulco, Mexico, and Manila in the Philippines. Remember, Philippines used to be a colony of Spain. So when Spain traveled from Latin America to Philippines, it bring along the seeds of soursop, which is called guanabana in Philippines. So from the Philippines, it then spread throughout the islands of Southeast Asia. So the fruits go to Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam, and they found and the climate in this Southeast Asia is the right place for the tree to grow. So it traveled from one tropical paradise to another and eventually becomes so ingrained in the local culture that many forget that it is originally an immigrant fruit. Today, countries in Southeast Asia like Vietnam had turned it into a cornerstone of their agricultural export. Now, because this my focus of the video is very much on the business and financial review or the analysis of the soursop market globally. So for the next few slides, I actually reproduce for your information, but I won't go through them in detail. You can read through all these slide because I actually make them very informative and very colorful and vibrant. So whatever I mentioned just now regarding the origin of soursop, and some of the particular characteristic of these fruits are very clearly stated in the next few slides. So you can feel free to go through them in detail and read them carefully. You can even capture the screen if you need all this information for your future users. Now, if you look at this current slide, I actually forgot to mention one thing, that this fruit tree is can be 100% utilized. It's something like the coconut tree. So you can look at this slide that I produced. Every part of the trees can be used. So the leaf can be made into product, the tea and all this, and the root also can be used for to create medicines, and the fruits, okay, the fresh, the peel, all these can be made into very good dessert product. And also the seed, it contain very good oil, and also it can be made into all kind of cosmetic. So the whole tree can be very useful. So and especially now Southeast Asia and the Latin America, those countries that near the equator are the right place to plant all these trees. Now, before I head on to discuss more about the business aspect of planting soursop, whether is it soursop, is it profitable, is it a good trade to go in, I've done another slide to compare soursop with other fruits. Sorry, there's some translation error on the graphic or at the berry there, so you can ignore it. So, for example, if I put soursop, berry, dragon fruits, and pomegranate together for comparison, you just focus on the price point. The price of soursop is very, very much expensive compared to other fruits. On a per kilo basis in Singapore and this part of the world, easily it will fetch about $10 Sing or to $12 Sing. So in renminbi is about 60 renminbi per kilo. And the price is equivalent to durian. And because of that, later part of this video, I will do a comparative analysis between planting soursop and planting durian to let you all see what kind of business and analysis, the payback analysis and feasibility study. So I will cover all this topic later. Since the only way to yield or to make money from soursop is to either involve in the soursop tree plantation or to involve in the trade, I have made another slide regarding growing the soursop tree. Again, I won't go into detail in this all this biological knowledge. You can read from the slide. Now, it's not a very easy to manage tree, and also the pollination and all these need a little bit different approach. In Latin America, the pollination is done by a kind of beetle which is green in color. But in Southeast Asia, because there's no such beetles, many of the pollination is done by hand. That means human being get involved and make sure the fruit yield is much higher because of the absence of the green beetle. Now let me step into providing some figure about how big is the global soursop market. Now, this next slide, a beautiful and colorful slide, you can see that the soursop market currently in the year 2025, which is the year previously, global trade is about 1.8 billion US. And the cumulative growth going to 2034 is estimated to be 7.3% per year. And by the end of 2034, it should reach about 3.4 billion US, almost double from what is currently today. And if you look at the regional powerhouse in Asia Pacific, countries like Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, they dominate this trade and they make up about 34.5% of the global trade in the soursop industry. Now, of course, soursop is not an easy fruit to transport and ship because it's very vulnerable, and also it can be easily perish. So again, that's a reason why the price of soursop is on the high end and even comparable to durian, because when the fruit is about to ripe, you unplug the fruit from the tree. You need to send it to the consumer market in the shortest time possible because this fruit is highly perishable. After a few days, it becomes very soft, and the taste of the fruits is not so appealing. But of course, there are other value adding product from the tree. For example, I mentioned the leaf, the root, the seed, and all this. So this chart will clearly show you the total market value of soursop tree is 1.8 billion US. But the key thing to remember is the growth rate is going to be very high at 7.3% because of the many advantages people perceive that they can derive from eating the soursop fruits. Now let's focus on who are the top five soursop production countries. So I actually put down the year 2024 to 2025, and you can see the rank number one is Mexico. That's where the plant comes from, the origination of the plant. Mexico is about 45 million US dollar. Fresh food, they do fresh food. For Vietnam now, they are number 2, and Vietnam is catching up fast. Later on, I'll do a slide especially to talk about Vietnam. Vietnam is about 38 million, and Vietnam had make it a point that they wanted to invest more into soursop plant because of the high growth and almost the same value as durian. Number 3, you can see Brazil. Brazil has a very big industry for soursop as well, and they also focus on the high yield leaf and make leaf into all kind of byproducts such as the tea, the drink and all this. Now, of course, rank number 4 is Philippines because of the trade route between Mexico and Philippines in the past by the Spanish. And rank number 5 is Colombia. You can see Colombia is at 12 million per year. Now, I show you this chart here, and apparently you can see that the current market value and forecast is quite different from the chart that I show you all before. So I think for business analysis, I just want to capture all kind of forecasts presented by the market so you have a better review and can make a better decision. Yes, for this one, they think that the 2024 market value is about 670 million, and they think that the projected market to 2033 is about 1.23 billion US. So, which is much lower than the previous slide that I show you. But again, this is not that crucial because if you look at the key point here, the growth rate for a projected is still about the same, about 7 point something percent. So you can see that for these fruits, soursop fruits compared to other market like mango, pineapple, which have a much bigger global market, the soursop growth and the demand of soursop is expected to way past all these other fruits. So in terms of growth rate, soursop so far is very appealing. Now, the next slide, I simply summarize what we have discussed so far in the first half of this video. So again, I talk about where the fruits come from, a bit on the tree and the history, the market size, and also some other potential benefit. But there's a one very big benefit of soursop, which a lot of people believe, but scientifically, there's not enough clinical trial to prove it, which is the soursop is able to deal with cancer. So the next slide, I'll provide some findings from what I can search from the internet. But again, make it very clear. So far, the findings is quite promising, but there's not enough human clinical trial to support this viewpoint. And the next slide is very technical. I think I can only show you all for you all to read it yourself. I won't go through all these terms. It's regarding all the research that they have done regarding the effect of on cancer by consuming soursop. So there are some promising results, but again, the medical industry has not conducted sufficient clinical trial, have not done enough sampling or testing yet. But so far, the result has been quite positive. That's why a lot of people in the market all has the belief that or the perception that soursop is a very good supplement to handle to combat cancer. But again, since there's no 100% proof, despite the fact that some of the previous experiment is quite positive, now we can for people who wanted to invest in the soursop plantation, um, should not oversell the cancer issue, but very much can depend on the demand for soursop, which is on a increasing trend. Especially soursop is considered a premium fruit compared to other fruits like pineapple, mango, and banana. So, in some extent, or the price of soursop can also rival the price of durian. So the perception that it can cure or it can combat cancer is something that people will continue to believe. But again, it shouldn't be the key decision factor that that influence your decision to invest into the soursop plantation industry. It's very much that the expected demand of this fruit will be very high, especially from all the research report that the growth will be very significant going forward. Now, the next two slide, I will roughly just put down some of the potential strategy that for potential investor who wanted to look into the soursop industry. You can take a look at this some of the slide, like for example, the wellness rebranding, Again, like I mentioned, this is a very exotic fruit, a very fruit at a premium. It does have some wellness research support these fruits, and it also has a lot of other advantages. But again, in order to be in this industry, you need to have a deep processing and infrastructure because the fruits is quite easily perishable. And there are some other strategy that you should look into. For example, from the viewpoint of ESG perception. Now, to understand the salsa industry further, actually, you all can do a case study on Vietnam. I have produced all the information that I can help you all to research. Vietnam has positioned soursop as one of the key fruits export that they wanted to put effort into. So, like I mentioned, the whole soursop tree can be made use of. So, indeed, for Vietnam, they have started to industrialize the soursop tea market, and the fruits also developing the fruits into other product that will not be easily perishable, so that it can be for long-term shipping. So indeed, Vietnam, being one of the top country in Southeast Asia to produce soursop, they have actually made soursop a key fruits to be the one that will be focusing on. Now, just now I mentioned about the global market value of banana, pineapple, and also mango. But because the shape of soursop is very much like a durian, and also the price of soursop is very much equal to the price of durian. So it's only fair that I'm going to compare the business prospect of soursop and the business prospect of durian. But regarding durian, I will do another separate video to introduce the business aspect of durian. But for this one, for this slide, I actually list down the top 5 country that produce soursop and compare to durian, the top 5 country. Again, you can see that the market size of durian and soursop, they are different. So I think is about 40 times bigger for durian. So, but again, the focus thing here is the business aspect of soursop with the high growth rate. Is it viable to enter or to venture into a soursop industry, plantation industry? Now, before I go into investment analysis of these two fruits, the soursop and durian, I actually use the more conservative projection which I mentioned just now in the video. Remember, I give you two projection. One say the market will go to about 3.4 billion. One say it will go to about 1.23 billion in the year 2033 or 2034. But again, the growth rate in these two reports are almost identical. It's above 7%. Now, if you look at this slide, uh, the soursop is an up and coming premium fruit. The durian has always been a dominating fruits and is a commodity king. And like I mentioned, the durian market is about 40 times larger. But for people who wanted to go to a less crowded, up and coming, high growth fruit market, soursop should be a very good choice. And the growth rate for soursop is indeed higher than durian, even if we use the more conservative estimate. So it's about 7.1% for soursop compared to 6.5% for durian. Okay, now let's come to the most important slide of this whole video. I actually done a calculation regarding the investment payback period and the break-even point, and based on the cost of plantation, the market price, the growth rate, and the biological nature of both tree, soursop and durian. I personally planted a lot of soursop, and when I was young, I also managed and plant durian trees before, so I'm quite familiar with these two plants. So as you can see, for soursop, the tree will bear fruits in the first 3 to 4 years. So it's much faster than a durian tree, which is about 5 to 7 years. And it will reach a maturity at the age of 6 years. For durian, it will be 10 to 12 years. So it will take longer time. And the number of fruits per tree is about 70 per year, 20 to 70, depending on how you manage the tree. For durian, it's about 50 to 100 fruits per year. But again, let's look at the lower table at the lower half, left-hand side. I actually do a economic comparison table over a 15 years horizon. For example, the initial costs involved. These are the costs that are actually applicable in Southeast Asia, not in Latin America. And also I make the market price here. Now, the market price is in US dollar, but again, I must caution that the price that I use for soursop, which is 2 to 5, is on the low end because I use wholesale price instead of the market price. Now, the durian right now face a issue of overgrown. If you see that even Hainan Island, many other country, Indonesia are catching up in planting a lot of durian. So a lot of people worry that the price of durian will come down in the future. But for soursop, it's different. Soursop has been viewed as a premium fruit, a exotic fruit, a fruit that have health benefit, despite the fact that it's only a perception. But is still something that people will look forward to. So for the break-even point, looking at the kind of trees that we are planting and the payback period, the cost involved, and the market price, generally for soursop is about 5 to 7 years break-even. For durian is much longer. It can stretch to 9 to 11 years. But if the price of durian drop in the future, because countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia are including China in Hainan Island, they are doubling their plantation size now. It's very likely that the durian market will become very saturated and the price will face downward issue, but not for soursop. Soursop is an up and coming high growth fruits item. That has a lot of advantages, but of course, the delivery and transport of this fruit does pose some challenges. Now, the previous slide I mentioned about the payback business analysis, so you can actually freeze the video and take a closer look and analyze yourself. Again, I wanted to repeat that for soursop, I actually use a lower price for the durian, and the price in the future is expected to drop because of overplanting of durian trees. But how about the taste? So the next slide, I actually show you all a simple slide to show you the nutrients level in soursop and durian. So basically, you can read it from the slide directly. And now we are coming almost to the last slide, and instead of making this video too long, because that will make you all fall asleep, the last slide I actually talk about all the strategy that you can adopt rolling forward with all the new technology involved in the soursop industry. For example, AI powered maturity predictions and the satellite monitoring of the soursop plant, and also robotics processing, so that you can actually process the soursop fruits into ready product like juices, dessert, and segregation of the seed to make the seed into cosmetic. So these are already technology that people has implemented in the industry, and that will further improve the yield and attractiveness of the soursop industry. So again, for this video, it's more than 30 minutes now. I will more or less let you all read through all these slides. It's very difficult to produce all these slides. I've done a lot of research and put in all these numbers, despite the fact that all these slides are produced by AI, but the numbers and all these things, the wording, I have to do a lot of research just to feed into the AI to produce this beautiful chart. Okay, now we come to the end of the video. The last slide, I actually do a summary, and also like a forward-looking kind of soursop market for this year, 2026. So you can see that different market like USA, Japan, UK, and Europe, they have different kind of preferences, demand for soursop fruits. So again, this will also give you a better idea about what kind of patterns, what kind of product variety, or the profiling of the product that you can position in case you want to target at the Western market like the United States, or the big Asian country here, Japan, and also the European market. So again, I hope you like my video. It's very informative on the slide, so that I don't want to read out too much and you can always read through them yourself. And I hope you can subscribe to my video, circulate my video to your friends so that they can also benefit from this slide. Thank you very much. See you next video. Bye bye.